Welcome to All Kinds. I'm Kaya.
And I'm Yehudis.
And today we're going to talk about the women in the Mafia.
Ooh.
So, Puds, you were telling me that you recently started rewatching The Sopranos.
That's right, I have been. I've been watching it on Crave TV. I bought the HBO extension for those in Canada. It's well worth it. And I started rewatching it because with all this coronavirus, the quarantine, all these live shows, like the Jimmy Fallon, they're all like weirdly set in their houses with their kids, webcams. Like, I don't go on live TV to watch a webcam show.
It all looks a little forced at this point. Like, we need professional production.
Right. I mean, your live show is a studio.
Like this show.
Right. I mean, if their live show, it's weird when they say a joke and there's no studio audience. Like,
it is a little boom, boom. Oh.
The only one who could really get away with it is Wendy Williams, who I'm still watching.
Are you?
She's quite her penthouse, everything. I mean, in her apartment, her accessories. It's well worth it.
I guess so. But back to The Sopranos. How many seasons were there?
There was about 6, and it's such a good show. It's like, I think it's like my second or third time watching the show, and it's always with a new set of eyes. That's when you know it's good writing.
I haven't rewatched it. I watched it when it came out. I remember it was really good.
It's what I love about this show, especially in Hollywood, when they usually cast women, especially wives. They cast a mother who's supposed to have like teen kids as this hotter than life figure on CBS or ABC News. And in The Sopranos, it's like Carmela Soprano really does look her age, married appropriately to Tony, with teenage kids.
She
was
all
realistic.
Fantastic. I think she won all the awards.
Amazing. And I loved all her fashion. Some of her fashion is very timeless, in my opinion. The jewelry, the layering. I mean, that's in again.
Well, listen, to me, I always not confuse her, but I always reminded me of, what's her name? On Long Island Medium, Teresa.
Oh, yeah, Teresa.
Yeah, Caputo, right? Like
the long nails, the hair.
And it also makes me think of with the hair and the nails, like I think in the South, like they always say, the higher the hair, the closer to heaven.
Well, I feel like first of all, I always make sure to have one leopard shirt in my closet. I would look good in leopard. You would look good in leopard.
Oof. Well, the thing is, we used to love it. We thought it was the coolest thing. But now that I'm almost 40, I'm like, ooh, it's a little cougary. I mean, I feel like a little bit like Peggy Bundy on Mary. But no, she looked great, Peggy. But I'm just like, I don't know. It has a different feel.
That would be the fun part.
But I still love it.
Well, that would be the fun parts about being married to someone in the mob. You get to have the big nails, the big hair, the furs. I mean, that's what would interest, if anything. But I can never be married to a mobster. I mean, they kill people.
Well, it's so much upkeep, first of all.
It's a lot of upkeep. You have to cook.
Oh, you can't get a meat like a catered meal. It has to be like home. Unless it's like an Uncle Tony or an Uncle Paulie, they're not doing it.
No, I mean, they really need to know how to cook. They're cooking baked ziti on the show.
It's not for one person. Yeah,
right. It's
like the whole town can come over. You got to be ready.
I got to cater if it's more than like 5 people in my house.
No, they don't care for that. No, but I think that it's a lot more than just being a wife. It's the cooking, because just the upkeep is a lot, right? She's got to get the nails, the hair, all that, the kids, the pretending she doesn't see anything. That whole business
right.
is a lot.
I would love the nails because, as you know, I anyways love to get my nails done. I don't go for the super long. I like medium length, like almond cone shape, but I love the jewels on the nails. I love spending the time in the salon.
Well, I don't get with the long nails how they could do anything. Like, how do they even type?
You can scratch your back really nicely with the long nails.
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, how do you type anything? Are you trying to you using the nails, or are you clickety clackety?
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh my God, I'd be worried about breaking one off. I can't even keep my own little nails.
No, nowadays with the nails, like the gel and everything, it's so hard to break a nail. Right. Like, and you get to
doesn't
do
have
that.
the same sound.
And when I was watching it, and there she is in her long nails, Tony, with her big hair and the layering of the jewelry. I mean, it is very enchanting, but at the same time, it's a dirty business, the mob.
Well, it didn't start out that way. Like, I read the Mario Puzo books, and we all know The Godfather.
So he wrote The Godfather?
Yeah. So there's, I think, 3 of The Godfathers. They play them all the time, but they started out like they came here and like nobody's going to take care of them. They wanted to take care of their own community, make sure they were safe. It wasn't like, let's go out and get a bunch of drugs and prostitutes. They didn't even do drugs for the longest time.
Right. And there was also Jews in the mafia. But the difference was, the Jews in the mafia, they didn't want their kids going into this life.
It
They
wasn't
made sure they were
understood, the
doctors.
succession. Yeah, I think that Mafia. I think too in Sopranos, she doesn't want the kids. I think she's
Absolutely
worried
not.
about that. That's a big
Right.
concern, right?
A very big
They
concern.
want to get the kids having a regular life.
And that's what I mean. I don't think I could be married to someone where I wouldn't want my kids to go into that profession.
Yeah, I guess, but they have like cover stories. I mean, the pizza shop or.
But they all know in the episodes.
Like,
I mean,
right?
waste management.
That's
Meadow,
what it was. Sorry.
The daughter said in the show, Meadow Soprano, she's like, come on, you think waste management bought this huge house? And
Well, it's a big business.
well, now recycling's a big business, but
That's
back
waste
then,
management.
right? But back
Yeah.
then, you think everyone was recycling and
Everybody had garbage.
and I love their style. Like a lot of people think like, you know, there's too much gold or it's too much tackiness. I personally think there's two types of classiness. There's Kate Middleton classiness and then there's Liberace classiness.
Yeah, well, I don't think Liberace, they look at class. It's more like ostentatious or like
well,
gaudy.
he wore fine
Gaudy, that's the
fabrics.
word.
I think that's classy when you're wearing fine textured fabrics.
Fine tech. I think everything. Well, I guess we'd call it bedazzled today.
I love the bedazzling. It's
You
just
know.
two types.
I guess, but I don't think people look at it on a scale of classy. Like you would totally live it up, and like I think you were saying, if Trump's, he showed his penthouse.
Right.
at The
People.
Apprentice.
So I remember I was reading the New York Times and they were laughing at. There's an article about his, gaudy, penthouse.
he showed it on The
It's
Apprentice.
a beautiful penthouse. All the art that's in it, the gold touches. I mean,
Everything's gold.
It's beautiful, and you're seeing Central Park. I mean, inside it's like a museum. It's so beautiful.
So you would, if you were a billionaire, you would stick gold leaf on everything.
Everything. I'd be
don't know.
gold
It's too
out.
much.
I love the gold. I love gold necklaces. The only thing that I wouldn't wear, I like even my wedding rings. They're white gold.
You wish they were yellow. I know you do.
No, I would never want a yellow.
Well, you
know.
love tacky on purpose.
I like a little tacky. I like gaudy. I like a little oomph to my style.
Yeah,
If something's sparkly
yeah.
and I can get it, why not?
I guess, but you're always like, yeah, if I can throw on a bunch, it's a look.
It's a look. I like sparkly, especially, in Canada, we have, the winters, not so much in Vancouver, but it's still dark outside in the winter. I like to wear like a
You're
sparkly
jazzing it up to
sweater.
work. You're wearing a sparkly sweater.
Why not? It's nice, especially during the Christmas time. It's nice to wear sparkle.
I think it's harder today because now in the past it was just like slap on the makeup, the nails, the hair, but now it's like you got to get the microblading on the eyebrows. You got to get the Botox. You also have to get the eyelash extensions sewn
It's a
in.
lot.
There's so much more work. The contouring, like
I think they're up. I think Carmelo would be
must
doing
take-
that if it
it's
was
a lot though.
a
It's a
lot of
job.
time. Right. But I mean, they're not working in their husband's businesses. They have a lot of free time. So like,
Well, no, you're not allowed to have a nanny in this.
that
in
is
this business.
true.
Okay,
Oh,
let's not
yeah.
forget. They're not
They
allowed.
had a cleaning lady.
Did they? But she's like really just cleaning.
Right.
Like-
3 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. They made a
Like-
big stink about it in the show. You're right.
Like, what do you mean? What kind of a mother are you? You can't clean the house. But I love how women like get off on it. Like they never like take away the women. Women are like, let's say they arrest them or whatever. The women are like, oh, she's just a wife. It's like the Madoff thing. It's like, how do we know Ruth wasn't this mastermind? Like, we don't know.
I don't think Ruth knew. I think she had an inkling of some type of fraud, but I don't think she knew to
They
that
never
extent.
investigated. For all we know, she had a master's in
Don't
finance.
forget, Madoff stole from like Holocaust organizations and stuff. I don't think she knew
get
that.
No, but I'm talking about
I have
in
no
general.
sympathy for her still. I mean, maybe I have a little, which is horrible.
You're-
I have such a weak
you,
heart.
you feel bad because she only got $2 million out the
Well,
deal.
because this woman was a billionaire.
No,
what
I get
can
that.
we do?
We discussed that in our other episode. But my point is, these mafia wives, they don't have to suffer the consequences. Like
Not as much.
well, they do.
right.
They have tons of consequences. But I mean, if they're going to arrest the mafia guy, they don't typically arrest the wives.
Right. And they fully know going into that life. Like a lot of these women, when I'm watching, the show Mob Wives, they're grew up with the mob. So they know when they reach adulthood what they're getting in when they're married to someone in the
Oh,
mob.
I love
They
that
know
show.
there's a chance there could be long prison terms. Like it's not just some random person that they're going to marry. They have to be in the circles.
Right. But they're never going to go to prison themselves, essentially.
No.
Is what I'm
But
saying.
they have to hold down the fort. And
So you would do it?
I would never. Again, because just they kill. It's a dirty business. I
Yeah, the
wouldn't. If
killing.
anything that puts my children in danger.
But let's say like, okay, that's it. Like you grew up in this community. You're going to marry one. Like, would I do it? I would say this, not that I would do it, but if I did, I would have to be the boss or like the capo. I can't
you
be the
couldn't
little
do,
guy
like, the
trying to make
lower-
his
not
name.
the
No,
soldier. You
no.
couldn't. It has to be a capo.
Yeah, because I think the hierarchy extends to
Do
the
you think
ladies.
so?
Yeah, I don't want to be like the lowest one. Like I have to do all the baking when we get together or some shit.
It's true. Like the show Mob Wives, who we love, and R.I.P. Big Ange.
Yeah, I love a show.
She was the star of the show. She was amazing, super funny on the show. You guys got to watch.
She wasn't
Mob
supposed
Wives.
to be on it even, she said.
Right. She was on Wendy Williams, and she was like, they said I was too old. And now look at me. I'm the star of the show.
So for those who don't know, Google it. It was only a couple seasons because unfortunately she passed. But Big Ange was, she ran a bar. She had breast augmentation that was... the only word to describe this would be very exaggerated.
It's like she has 2 watermelons on her, but she's tall, so she can handle it.
Well, it still looked, like, she'd fall over in any minute. But she always had the best one-liners, and I tried to download something she said as a ringtone for the longest time. I love when she would say, I love the wise guys. They know how to take care of a woman. She smoked a lot.
And her in the show, she was dating a guy named Neil who was a sanitation worker.
The garbage man. Neil's a garbage man.
I miss the wise guys.
Yeah, I want a wise guy.
So did you get that ringtone in the end?
No, I was trying to illegally download it. Sorry, disclaimer. But it was back in the day, right? The show was on, 10, 15 years ago? How long was it? It was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
And they only had a couple seasons because, Angie's situation. But she ended up having a heart of gold, and she held these women together.
Oh, she was, and I loved, it's ironic about her death because she actually never saved. So she would say on the show, I never save. I always spend as if there's no tomorrow. You never know when you're going to have it. And in her case, unfortunately, it turned out to be true. She
was redoing her whole apartment. You would love it.
Her whole house.
I think the whole thing was
Staten
zebra.
Island. It was beautiful. Again, I think these women,
pink, I don't know.
I mean, besides their scumbag husbands, I think these women have great style and amazing hair. When I saw the show Mob Wives, Carla's hair is beautiful.
I always think of that gaudy lady because she had that super long, she was on
Victoria Gotti. Oh, it's too long, her hair. But she is fabulous. Who knows? Probably extensions.
No, but back then it wasn't a big extension.
I love it when Victoria is wearing her long, great blonde hair with the fur jacket.
Oh, yeah. But back then, a lot of girls didn't get into the extension. But, speaking of which, we do have a sponsor we need to call out.
Yes. And this one's all about food because the Sopranos in the show, they're always cooking baked ziti, menegut. So what's our next sponsor?
Well, this episode has been brought to you by your local bakery. Spend the $2. Get that fresh baguette to stick out of your bag for that super sophisticated woman on the go. Go ahead. You can have some bread. No, not you.
And we're back.
So speaking of The Sopranos, what I didn't like was throughout the show, the one thing I would have a problem with being a mafia wife is these gumas, right? They're okay to have them. Right. So mistresses, side chicks, they're allowed to have all these gumas, but I can't have a gumo.
No, it's the same like in the show Sister Wives. Cody has all these wives and they can't have another husband.
Well, that's why I said I'm not watching that show until there's brother husbands. That's what's happening. We're supposed to be cool with them. They're always like, be cool or else you're like uptight. I'm like, well, you're not cool with it the other way. So who's not cool here?
You have to accept being part of that. And in the mob life that, your husband's going to have gumas.
I guess you have to. Would you be a guma?
Absolutely not.
So in the show, I don't think I could either. They're throwing themselves at him. And it's like, and even when the show was airing, everyone's like, oh, he's so sexy because he played this powerful character.
And they're trying in the show to make him look appealing in that way in these women's eyes.
But in real life, people were going crazy for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they were like, it's the power. But I was like, okay, fine. I get the power. But for once, can we have a powerful guy who's conventionally sexy,
right, as sexy as Carmela Soprano.
Right, exactly. Like somebody from the People's, not People, because they tried to make Shia LaBeouf happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's no Al Pacino in The Godfather.
Yeah, I didn't know you found that sexy, but
no, but Al Pacino's was a good looking, man.
Yeah, and Tony, to his credit, he did play, what's his real name? Gandolfini.
Gandolfini.
Yeah. He did play another movie with Julia Louis-Dreyfus afterwards.
That was a really good movie.
Where it's called out, she doesn't want to date him because he's not in shape and bald.
Right. And that was really
she thinks she's worth more.
Right. Oh, yeah. That was a good movie.
But he had such a great, but it wasn't about, you should like me because I'm powerful. It was, I'm a good person.
Because people see the money and and the power that comes with it. I mean, I could never just be with someone just for money. I mean, is it worth it? I don't really think so.
It's funny that you say that because you've been instructed basically to go for that,
Oh, yeah. I remember at my Uncle Eddie's Shiva. This is years ago. I was 13 or 14 and I had an aunt and she was there with her husband who was,
he was wealthy.
Right. And there she came in and she told me in front of all my other relatives, are all of our relatives, mine.
I don't remember this. I don't know
and
where
she
I was.
says, honey, you marry for money, you learn to love.
Fantastic.
And my grandmother was disgusted with that comment, of course. And it's so horrifying because here she is. She spends, you grow old with this person. There's obviously a connection.
She said you learn to love. I guess she learned to love him.
Once you get sick of it, let's say you do marry a guy for money. He gets you all these things. By like the 5th year, you're sick of it.
Well, I just think that if you do it, you know what you're getting into. And a lot of them, like people unfairly call gold diggers. I'm like, well, no, they have to, like Anna Nicole Smith.
Oh, yeah. She deserves it.
Like she earned that.
Well, and she was companionship for that man as well. That man was 90.
I think it was more than, like he was going to the strip clubs, meeting her. That's how they met. And I'm sure she had to have sexual relations with that man.
I give her all the respect.
And
for
poor
that.
Nicole, Viagra had been invented. So,
right.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you do that, it's like with all these medical advancements, you would want to be attracted to the person you're with. And I don't think money could buy that for me.
Well, there was a tradition you could marry an old guy and you think, okay, he's not going to last that long. And there was no Viagra or anything like that. So they put in a little bit of time. But now if they do it, oh my goodness, the guy could live to 120. And they've got Viagra, and you know what you're getting into.
I don't know. For me, to spend the rest of your life or to marry someone just for the money, I think it's not only very shallow, but it doesn't. I need someone that I can talk to and I can, have a good time with, where I'm not dreading the bedtime.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And also, I think money's great, but I got the lesson. You got to have your own.
Yes.
You never know
Thank
what's
you, Susie
gonna happen.
Orman. It's true.
Susie Orman for you. No, because I always think like everyone always says, oh, it was so cool in the 50s and the 60s. Everything was great. I'm like, yeah, it was great if like you had that family unit that they were selling. But what if your husband was a drunk or a deadbeat? And you can't work. Like it's nice to be stay at home. But what if that's the only choice and that doesn't work for everyone? Now, at least we have choice.
Right. I mean, I'd rather, also date.
So you need your own.
Right. And I would want to be with someone, who makes an honest living, who it's not even about the money. It's more ambition that really drives me.
You're not really supposed to know. I know it's like a don't ask, don't tell in the Mafia. Like, and if you're with the captain, I mean, yeah, he orders the hits, but it's not like he's going to put someone in the shredder the wood chipper. Sorry. Excuse me.
I don't think it's worth it. And these women, again, they know what they're getting into. Most of them.
They do. You're right.
So, God bless them.
If that's what they like, good for them with the hair, the nails, the Viagra, I guess. But it's been blast, Puds, as usual.
I love this episode. And
if you like what you hear, don't forget to check us out weekly on iTunes or your preferred platform. Please feel free to provide feedback and give us a rating.
You can also go to our website at allkindspodcast.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at allkindsweekly or on Instagram at allkindspodcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
And maybe we can discuss it on our next show.
Thanks for listening.